Oh, fuck, sorry. I feel a bit nervous. Roses is a song that has a story that's a little bit different to any other song I've had before. And to be honest, at first I didn't even want to talk to anyone about it. But now here I am sitting here being interviewed about it. It was at the start of lockdown and I started talking to somebody online, and her name was Daniela, and we had followed each other on Instagram for a couple of years, but only kind of spoken a couple of times. And for some reason we started talking, and the more we talked, the more she intrigued me, and she had all these fascinating life stories, and she was super interesting and engaging and really intelligent, and we began to talk more and more, and our kind of connection started to mount, and till such time as I was talking to her every day, and we would talk on the phone at night. And she was from LA, and she was a chief financial advisor for an international modeling agency, among many other things. She had heaps of fascinating stories, and as we became closer and closer, at one point she told me this story about roses, and how she was like ridiculously beautiful, but as a kid she was like, she said she was extremely unattractive, and she would sit by herself because nobody wanted to talk to her. She would sit by herself at lunchtime and look across the road at this rose bush, and the roses, she would dream, she would like look so longingly at them and admire their beauty. And then at one point she when she was like a teenager, she came back to her school, and she went to the rose bush and to finally see them for real, and she touched them and cut her hand, and that became a lesson for her in life that that don't get too close to the things that are most beautiful in your life. And for me that was like just a song asking to be written, and so I couldn't help but write this song. I wrote a song called Roses. But the more I talked to her, the more interesting and exciting and fascinating she became, to the point that I started to question her, and I started to question who she was. And I reached out to my friend and manager, Mitch, and I was like, bro, what do you think about this? And we kind of did some digging, and we discovered that she wasn't who she said she was. Whatever identity I was speaking to on the phone was not real. And we even found the Instagram account. Eventually we found the Instagram account from which she had been taking the photos and claiming they were hers. And it was an Insta account of a model in the UK. And it was a crazy experience, because the first feeling I had after realizing that everything she told me was a lie was a relief. And that was because I was becoming more and more attached to her, and I had been completely honest with her about the fact that I'm already somewhat involved with somebody else. And so when I found out that she wasn't real, essentially, I was like, thank fuck that my romantic situation doesn't have to become any more complicated than it already is. But then as the days progressed, that relief turned to this kind of emptiness, and like it was like a sense of I guess I felt betrayed and intruded upon, and it was like it was quite a dark feeling, I guess. But the song, like I wrote the song before I knew that she wasn't real. So the song is a representation of all of the things that this person made me feel before I knew that this person was not who I thought she was. One of the craziest parts about the whole story for me is that once we worked out that she wasn't real, I went back to her and I said, like, I just want to know why did you feel you had to do this? And she was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And I just said, I just want to know why. And I was a bit ambiguous about it. I couldn't bring myself to say, I know that you're not who you say you are. And so I just was ambiguous, and I presented it but left it for her to interpret. And then I withdrew because it felt wrong, because the craziest thing was I still felt connected to her. And even though she wasn't I knew she wasn't who she claimed to be, and everything she told me was a lie, but still I felt connected to whoever it was that I connected with. And so eventually I withdrew from that conversation. I said, like, don't worry about it, it's okay. And then I went back to her the next day and I said, I've done a lot of thinking, and I've decided that I don't want this relationship to go any further because of the reasons that I've already told you about, like because my romantic situation is already complicated and I don't want to hurt anybody and all those things. And she said, thank you for your honesty, and thank you for being genuine, and thank you for being nice, and so on. And then we said goodbye, and it was sort of like a beautiful ending. And it was one of the most bizarre juxtapositional emotions I've ever felt, because I was saying goodbye sentimentally to somebody whom I knew wasn't real, yet I still felt connected to the character that she had fabricated. And so we said goodbye, and that was it. And I've never spoken to her again. And I don't even know if she knows that I know that she's not real. And she might be watching this video right now, and this might be the first time that she knows that I know that she's not real. But anyway, if you are watching, Daniela Caterina Provengiano, or whoever the fuck you are, thank you for igniting me for 2 weeks, to the point that I wrote a song called Roses, which is one of my favourite songs I've ever written.